Hi guys, welcome to Digital TechJoint. I hope everybody is doing good, and I really thank you everyone for all the likes on the previous two videos. That is, creating a to-do app in Blazor.NET 9, which was part 1, and on Azure Service Bus using ASP.NET MVC. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use Azure Redis Cache and implement that into your application, which will improve your performance. And wherever you have a performance oriented application and you want latency to be low, then obviously you'll have to tweak your application, optimize your query, but at the same time you also have to use Azure Cache wherever applicable. So before I proceed with the practical of this session, let me show you the demo. So this is the what we are going to achieve. We are going to create Azure Redis in our Azure Portal, and we are going to demonstrate that using an ASP.NET MVC application, where we are going to cache the data and save it, check the cache validity. If it is not, it will fetch from the database, and we'll show you how the performance improves 10 to 15x. So that metrics is also be shown. So let me click on View Product Demo, and here you can see the viewed product demo is loaded. Now before I just loaded this application, so first time it fetched from the cache, and so I'm just going to clear this cache, and so now you can see now it is fetching the data from database, which took around 3000 or 3500 milliseconds, and here it indicates that the data is not cached. So you can see not cached first load. There are total 6 products, and it is from the database. So this matrix is displayed over here while doing the demo. And when I clear the cache, I also show you a message that the cache is clear. It will be fetched from database. And then I have these 6-7 products which I'll add it in the database directly. We're not going to create any view to add the products, because we are very focused on implementing and creating the class for Redis that you can use in your project as it is. So here you can see first load, the entire list is been loaded from database, and when you click on any product, it will also cache this product if it's not loaded the first time. So let me show that. So let me click on this product, and you can see I've created the same performance matrix over here. The response is around 500 milliseconds and close to 500 milliseconds, and then it is the data from where the data is fetched is from database. The next time when I click on the same product, that is the third headphones, it will fetch from the Redis cache. This is just 32 milliseconds, guys, just 32 milliseconds. So similarly, now my record is also cached. If you can see, if I refresh it, it is just 40 milliseconds, 50 milliseconds. You can see 23. It's all fetching from the cache because it is all cached. So this is how, just imagine, this is how you can use the advantage of Redis cache in your application. So this is what we are going to show it to you, and see, this is getting fetched from the cache. This is also cache, and then finally this will be from database because we are clicking the first time, and then when I click the second time, it is from the cache. So guys, this is what we are going to see. So without wasting much time, let's jump into the practical session. So before we jump into the practical, let's also create the Azure Redis Cache, which I have already created over here, my Redis Cache -demo digital TechJoint. So what I'll do is that I'll just create one. It takes some time amount around 15 to 20 minutes to create the cache. I might use the same cache, but I'll tell you how to do that. Just search for Azure Redis. You can see Azure Cache for Redis. Just click on that, and here you can see if you just click on Azure Cache for Redis, you can see list. So this is a list. This is a cache that I've already created in this location, and it is running. Size is 250 MB. This is standard, and this is my subscription. What I'll do, I'll just create one. So once you create, you select Azure Cache for Redis, and then you select the group Digital TechJoint, and you name it. So I'm going to say Redis Cache Application Demo Digital TechJoint. It should be unique, and yes, it's tick. Central India I've selected, and cache. This is the standard, and this is the cache size. Click on next, and select public, and click on next, and ensure that your access key authentication is enabled. Click on next, This you can tag it, and you can click on create. It is validating, so you can see running final validation. It is passed, and I click on create. So once this cache is created, I will just while it is creating, you can see it is deploying. Deployment is progress. So it takes some amount of time. So let's do one thing. Let's go to home page and click on the Redis cache and select the one which we created. So once we created our cache, which is happening over here, you will have a similar window, and what you need to do is simply there are a lot of options over here. You can see you can take utilization advantage of all this activities, logs, and everything is there. In fact, even monitoring is also there. You can see insights over here, and you can see all the insights, the number of hits, storage, everything can be seen over here. Because I have been using this for this demo, so it is showing some data. So let's use the same one here. Only important thing you need to understand is that you need to go to monitoring. Let me just check settings and authentication and access key, and here you need to copy the primary connection. So this is the connection which you need to copy it and paste it in the application. This is what important thing you need to do. And now let's go and open the Visual Studio. We might use the same Azure Redis Cache because it takes some time. It's still deploying, but I'm telling you, once it is deployed, this is the same interface you're going to get. Go to settings, go to authentication, access key, and copy the primary key connection string of your cache connection string. Now let's open Visual Studio. And let's create a project. Let's select ASP.NET Core Web App MVC. Click on next. This is my demo location, and I'm going to call it Redis demo. This is a path where it will be stored. Click on next. This is .NET 9. I'll just uncheck configure for HTTPS as of now and click on create. First thing we'll do is that we'll add the database connection string because we need to have a database and in the app setting, and we'll also add provision to copy the Redis cache connection string. So I've just pasted the connection strings. So this is the connection string keys, and it has two connection: default connection for database. This is my server name. This is my server name, and I use SQL Server Management Studio 20, which is free and you can download it. So I'll just open that because we are going to create a database in this studio, which is version 20.2. So this is my server name. This is the database. So I'm going to call it as Redis. Yeah, so this is the server name that I just mentioned it over there, and I'm calling it Redis demo DB. Okay. And trusted connection through, multi-active result set is through. Now here I'm going to copy the Redis connection string. So I've added a connection called Redis, and let's go to our portal. So here this is the portal. I guess this, as I told you, it takes time. It is still deploying. So that is why I decided to use our existing connection string. So this is my Redis ID that I had created, and here I'm coming to copy this connection string. Okay, you can see I'll copy this connection string over here, come to Visual Studio and paste it. So this connection string is done. Okay, so we have both the connection string specified. Now what we'll do is that we will go ahead and add the required packages that is for this demo, required for this demo. I right click and click on new code packages. So here I'm going to select Entity Framework Core. Entity Framework Core, select version 9 because I'm using Visual Studio 2022 as of now. So click on that. Then I'm going to select Tools. Here. finally, since I'm going to work with SQL Server, I'm going to select core 1, SQL Server, and design. Apart from this, for database activities, I'm going to also add two new packages. One is Newtonsoft, which is right over here. Okay, so I'm going to select this one, .NET Foundation, click on install. And one more package is required for managing and working with Redis is Stack Exchange. This is from Stack Overflow and is recommended by Microsoft. This one, Stack Exchange.redis. I want to install this. This will enable the connectivity between Azure, our application to Azure, and it has various built-in connectivity and management that we are going to use it. So yes, with this I think so we have installed around 5 to 6 libraries. You can see over here. Most important is this, and these are important because we are working with database. Okay, fine. So this is done. Next level we are going to do is create a model. So I have already folder over here. We'll create the model class and then the application DB context class. So right click on this and add a model. Call it as product, and we'll define some properties. So here are the properties that will be represented where the data will be stored. Product, and this will be cached. So we have the key ID, we have the name, description, which can be optional, and then we have the price, and then we have the category, stock quantity, and the created date. This is we have created the model. Now we'll create the application DB context class. So for that I'm going to right click, say add folder called data, and inside data I'm going to create a class. This will inherit DB context. Okay, and I'm just going to add the core reference. Okay, and I'm going to add the constructor with option. Okay, I'm just going to remove this. So now create the data set, product, and name it as products. This will be name of the table in the database, get and set. And I'll include the class models. Okay, so this is done. So we have created our application DB context, we have created a model, we have added the connection string, and now let's go ahead, before we implement the actual class, let's go ahead and include the dependency injection for DB connectivity. So we first say where connection string equals to builder dot configuration dot get connection string, and this is default. This is our database connection. Okay, now once we do that, we're going to say builder dot services dot add DB context and call it application DB context options option dot use SQL Server and use a connection string that we pass over there here. Okay, so this is done. So once this is done, options and options, yes, this is right, the SQL connection. Now once this is done, our database connectivity is done, let us also configure Redis cache. So get the Redis connection string from app setting. So where Redis connection string equals to similar way dot configuration dot get connection string, and this will be Redis. Okay. So if string dot is null or empty. Okay, so now we are going to write the code over here. We're going to say throw new exception invalid this one, Redis connection string is required. And then we will go ahead and define the connection string over here. So what we're going to do is simply say builder dot services dot add singleton. Before we do that, let me also add the reference. So here I'm going to use using Stack Exchange .redis. This is important because here we're going to use that, and this will be connection multiplexer. This is part of connect multiplexer. SP enter, and here we will say where logger equals to sp dot get required service -logger, and we are going to pass program to log all the entries. After that, we are going to say try, and here we will look at connect to Redis using connection string. This will be where connection equals to connection multiplexer dot connect and Redis connection. So connection multiplexer is like multiple user. For example, multiple user try to connect to database, it creates a session for each user. Whereas connection multiplexer, part of the Stack Exchange, manages single connection for all the users, thereby improving the performance. That's what it does, and that is what we are doing over here. So it fetches the connection string. Now it has connected using the connection string. Now after connect, so we are just going to logger dot log information, and say Redis connected successfully. Okay, and then we are going to return the connection, and if there is any exception, we are going to say catch logger dot log error ex, and this is our, we need to define that over here, exception as ex, and we define that ex failed to connect to Redis. show exception. That's it. So this is a code to connect to the Redis, Azure Redis. This is for our database. So we have also done that. Now one thing remaining is that migration. So we can go ahead and just build it once, and we will issue a migration command so the database is ready, and we will go ahead and add some data to the database. So build is successful. So let's go ahead and get the console and issue the command add migration database setup. Migration started, it succeeded. Okay, Microsoft. Okay, so we have not specified the decimal value for price. Okay, that's the reason, and just define that. So we have defined the range over here, but this is a warning. So for now we'll just ignore. This is not an error, and I'm going to say update database. Okay, so there is an issue. The connection was successfully executed, but this error process certificates are issued. Let me just check what exactly is the issue. Database Redis. Guys, I have just included one keyword called trust server connection. So in the database connection string, I have included server. Obviously, this is my server name. This is a database. Here I have included trust server certificate through. And let us just check now why this issue had happened. Maybe because of this setting in the connection string. Let us run this command again. It's stuck, it's not executing it. Let me just stop this once. Version of the let me just build this once. I hope there is no exception as such. No, it has no exception. And let me go to package again. Try to build started. Okay, let me just fix this issue. Price. Let me define the. Maybe this is causing the problem. So what I'll do is for this particular property, I'll define the decimal values correctly, 18 and 2 decimal. So now let me just go ahead and remove migration. Remove migration. So this folder should be deleted with this command. So whenever you are facing any issue with the migration, it is advised that you remove the migration and then rebuild it for the first time. So I've removed the migration, old migration. I'll do a new migration now. I add migration, and this will be database setup. So we see this migration folder is added now, and now I'm going to use update database. So guys, this command worked. You can see update database command worked the second time, and it successfully created the connection string as well as the database. I'll just update you what changes I did. You can see now in the database I have a Redis demo database created over here with the table called products. So where I'll add some products now, but before I add the product, I'll tell you what are the update I did in the connection string so that this worked. So here you can see in my database connection string I have added trusted connection. That is why this login phase, because here you can see it was filling login field for SA because it was expecting a username and password. So I added this trusted connections through, and I also added server certificate is through. So these two were important for database connectivity experiments, which we did, and now we are able to see that it got executed, and we are able to see the database as well. So what I'll do is that I'll add some records over here, and that will be used during our demo. So guys, I've added few records from the backend, few items with some prices in the categories. So I have added this directly in the database table, but you can obviously, when you're creating the models, that is in your application DB context, you can write code over here to add those record. While on modeling event, you can add those using the product class. You can add those data by default. So whenever the migration commands gets executed, this will create a database and table and insert the record that I had done it manually from the database. Okay, now guys, so we are done with the entire setup. We have our database, we have our models, we have our Redis connection string, and let me just go and check. So here you can see our Redis is deployed. So Redis cache application is already deployed. As I told you, the same interface. Here also you have to go to authentication, and here you can see there is primary key. So you have to copy this and paste it over here. That's what you have to do with here. You have to just create a Redis cache and copy the connection string. I'm using my existing Redis connection string, so this is only for your demonstration. I showed you how to create it. So now coming back to our project, now we need to create the core class, which is a common class. You can use it in your application as well. So I'm going to create a folder called services, and here I'm going to create an interface and new item. This will be my interface, and I'll call this as Redis Cache service. Okay, and this interface has the following definition, which will get data from Redis cache. This will be task, key optional, and this is get async, key generic class, and string key, where equals to class. This is first declaration. Similarly, we set data in Redis cache with expiration. This will be task, set async, key t value time span optional, and this is expiration, which should be null, where class is t. This is second. Obviously we need to remove data from Redis cache. This will be task remove async string key, and then finally to check whether it has the Redis cache, we are going to use a boolean type exits async string key. These are the 4 declaration, and we'll implement that into our class. So we are going to create a class called under service Redis cache service. We are going to using stack exchange.redis, using newton.json, and implementing Redis cache service. First thing we're going to do is that we will just click over here and implement interface. Here you can see all this definition is created. Now we are going to say private read only connection multiplexer and call it as Redis, and private read only database underscore database private logger. Here I will use Redis cache service. I'm going to use the constructor ctur tab. So this is a constructor, and here I'm going to pass connection matrix for Redis, then logger and Redis cache. This is logger. So here I'm going to say underscore Redis is Redis, then underscore logger is logger, and database will be underscore database Redis dot get database. Okay, so values are set over here. After that, I'm going to first use get, create a method called to check whether the connection is healthy. So I'm going to say check if Redis connection is healthy. So private boolean is connection healthy. And this is try return underscore Redis dot is connected, cache returns false. This is for connection check. Then I say retrieve the data from the cache. That is, I'm going to use this method over here and just push it up, and here I'm going to write the implementation. So first thing is try and then catch. This will be my exception block, and here I'm going to do the actual implementation. So first thing is if not is connection LD. Okay, if it is not LD, I'm going to say underscore logger dot log warning Redis connection is not LD for key. So we will define keys for the data that we store. That is what we are going to pass, that we show during the implementation. So one key for this demo, one key is listing of the product is one key, and specific product. Suppose you select any one product, we create the key for that particular product and we cache the data for that particular product in that key. That is why key is very essential over here. And then we return none. Okay, var value equals to await database dot string get async key. So the database connection is LD, then we are setting the key over there, and also we are validating whether the value is there in the method value dot as value. And if it has value, obviously we are going to say underscore logger dot log information cache miss for key and this will be if it is no value is passed. If value is passed, then what happens? Then we are going to say make sure you return 9, and if you have value, we are going to say logger dot log information and say cache it for key and we are going to say return JSON convert dot deserialize object class value. And if there is an exception, let me just define some description so that it is retrieve data from Redis cache. So the data is there, it retrieve and return the deserialized data, and if there is an exception, we are going to say so there is, if there is an exception, we are going to say log dot log error and we pass the exception. Error retrieving from Redis cache for key okay, and this will be returned. We also need to add one more block of exception. We name this as exception. So this will be Redis connection exception ex, and we'll say ex error in Redis exception. Okay, and here we are going to say key and also the connection status. Connection state. Two things we are going to pass, and this will be colon and this will be state. And how will we get the state? We will get the state from a method Redis is connected, otherwise false. Okay, so with this we write our first implementation of retrieving data from Redis cache if available or handling the exception. Now let's move to set data. So here we are going to set it. First we retrieved it, here we will set it. So we'll just describe over here in the command. I'm going to say store data in Redis cache. So we will just copy this block, and because most of the code for managing the exception is same, we will not repeat it. We just copied it. So this will remain. Okay, this will remove. So we will see what we will remove it, but obviously this should be there, and this will remove. And here we will not deserialize, but we will serialize because we want to store it. So first thing is connection string, then var serialized JSON converter dot serialize object. Okay, so this is we are serializing it. Now we will check if, because here we are passing the expiry date as value. That means user is setting that I want to expire this particular for 30 minutes or 30 seconds. So it's checking whether it has a value. If it has value, then it will simply say underscore database dot set string async. It will pass the key and serialize, and it will also pass the expiration. Okay, if at all it is not passing, it does not have any default value. This is a code block that we will write, and just paste this over here. Expiration. If there is some exception over here, exception. Okay, so we are getting this error over here which says argument cannot convert system timeline to stack exchange dot redis dot expiration. So what we'll do is we'll explicitly convert it expiration. This should work. Okay, so now it is setting this value in a serialized object with some time that the user will pass. Otherwise, if user does not pass, we are going to say we'll copy the same line, but we will add our own default. Let's say we can add time span dot add hours. Let's say from hours we'll just add. So this is for that. And now we are going to say, just copy this log information, paste over here, and say data cached for key. Okay, so we are passing that. So this is it, and then if there is an exception, so this will remain the same, this code will remain the same, and even this code will remain the same. Okay, so I think so we have set it. Now this will be return, and this will be return, and this will be return. Okay, so this code will actually set the data. Moving on, we will go to remove. So here there is a remove, so just copy this and move it above. And what this will do is that remove data from the Redis cache. So it will also have the same block with just a few line of code, and paste it over here, and here we'll remove it and add this code, which will be await underscore database dot key delete, and this will be key, and this will be key removed from cache for this key. Okay, so this is done. Database key delete async. Yeah. So rest all remains as error while removing the key data. Okay, error Redis connection, this is fine. So we have done remove also. Final is boolean check. So here you have to just simply check whether the data exists. So this will be return await underscore database dot key exist async and the key. That's it. So guys, we have completed the full implementation, and you can, this is a generic class, you can use this in your project. It can handle n number of classes. So this is what the code looks like now, and so we have this class defined. We are doing a Redis connectivity. We are actually getting the data from the Redis cache, and we are setting the data to the Redis cache. We are removing it, and we have created a boolean variable that actually checks whether the cache is available, the key is available in the database. Fine. With this, we complete our implementation for Redis cache service. Now, since we are dealing with product, we will also create a product services, which will actually from your controller class, we'll call this service, and this service will store the data using the Redis implementation. So next step is working on our product service. So under the services, we'll create one interface for product. We'll call it as iProduct service, and I will define task. So here I'm going to pass two objects. First is list. This will be my product. Okay, and then I'll call this as products, and a boolean variable which says is data from cache. And call it as get all products async. Second is to fetch specific product ID. So I'm just going to copy this, paste this. So instead of list, it will be product. Okay, and because it may return null, that is why it's optional. And this will be get product by ID async. And finally, we are going to clear the cache. So there will be a method called task clear cache async. Okay. So these are the three definitions. Now let's create the service. Add class and call this as product service, and this will product service. I'm going to use this method. Okay, and here I will use using Newton.json using stackexchange.redis. Okay. The first thing we're going to do is that add the references. Private read only application db context. This is context class. Then private read only iRedis. We need this iRedis service as, let's call it cache, and private read only logger iLogger. Let's pass our product service. This will be logger. Let's create the constructor for this class. CTOR tab, and let's pass this. Application DB, and this is our text. Then iRedis cache service cache, and finally iLogger product service as logger, and this will be my initiate all these objects. Okay, so once done, and we should also define the key as I mentioned. So cache key, okay, prefix. So first is private constant string. This is products underscore list underscore key. This is products colon all. These are all product key, and this will be specific product key. Product underscore key underscore prefix product colon, and now there is no value. We'll dynamically add the product ID to this key. Okay, so this is one this required. Now let's move further, and first thing is that we are going to get all the products. So we have this key over here, get all products. Just I like to maintain things in order. So first is get all products. So just describe this method, get all products. Okay, and this will be here we are going to use some classes as well. We have to use system.diagnose. This will be used for adding stopwatch so that we can record the timing. So here I'm going to say where stopwatch stopwatch dot start new. We are starting the time. Step 1 is try to get the Redis cache data first. So where cached products equals to await, and this will be underscore cache dot get async. Okay, and this will be list product and this will be product key, which is our product list key. Okay, now if cache data cache product data is not equals to null, okay, then we are going to say stop this and add that into the logger. That means we found the data, log information, products retrieved from Redis cache in, and specify the time. Elapsed milliseconds, and we are going to pass stopwatch dot elapsed milliseconds, and we are going to say return cached products and through. Step 2, is cache miss, so fetch from database. Okay, so this will be again one logger dot log information, and we are seeing cache miss fetching from database. After that, we are going to say stop dot restart, because we need to calculate the time for database. Okay, and we are say var products equals to await cache dot, sorry, not cache, context dot products dot to list async. Cool. And then once we get the data from there, we are going to say stopwatch dot stop and use the same over here, but this time product retrieved from database. I hope everybody is understanding. Okay, now once we have it from the database, remember we need to set this into a cache. So step 3 is store in Redis cache for future request. This is await underscore cache dot set async. We are going to say product list key, and we are going to say product, and also remember we had set a timer expiration, so I am going to say time span dot from minutes for 30 minutes. Depending upon your requirement, you can set the time. This cache will be active. And finally, I want to say return and remove this. Simple. We'll put a breakpoint over here. Let's move to the next code, that is for a single product. Okay, this is for purely for a single product. So we're going to say get product by ID. So here what you're going to do is first var cache key is to $product key. Okay, and we have prefix this ID over here. We'll prefix the ID over here. We have forgotten one important thing is of passing the ID, so we should do that. It's a big miss. Let's go to iProduct service, and this will be int ID. Come back to product, and this will be our int ID. So now we can see it is getting prefixed. Now let's go again stopwatch. To stopwatch dot start new. Step 1, try to get from Redis cache first. So this will be where cached, cached product, not products, let's call it as product. This will be await cache get async product and cache key. Okay, so now this will fetch based on the key. So I'm asking for this particular key which I prefixed. Again, I think so I can copy this, just change the variable name. It's not products, it's product, and this product over here, and I say product ID. So this is product ID. So this is, I'm going to pass this variable ID. Okay, retrieve from cache in this many times, and I'm going to pass the ID as well over here, ID, and the time it took to fetch the record. Step 2, catch a miss, fetch from database. I will copy this one, and I think I paste it over here. So I said cache miss for fetching, product ID. Okay, from Redis cache. Okay, so I'm going to pass the ID over here. Then I'm going to restart the timer and then now fetch it from a database. So this will be not product, this will be product, and this will be products find async, and I'll pass the ID. Then I stopwatch, and then I say product ID retrieve from database in this much seconds, and I'm going to pass the ID as well. The third step is step 3, store in Redis cache if product exists. Okay, so this means if product is not null, I'm going to say await underscore cache dot set async. Okay, and this will be my cache key product timer 30 minutes, and then I'll return the value. Return product as false, not from the cache. Cool, even this is ready now. I'll put a breakpoint here as well. The final code is to reset it. So here we are simply going to remove this and say context.products.add. This is not going to add. This is going to clear it. So I'm going to say await cache dot remove async, and this is the product key list, and logger dot log information product list is cleared. That's it. So our code is ready. Next, we will move to creating the controller and implement these classes that we created. Let me just rebuild once so that I make sure that there is no issue in our code. This succeeded. Now it's time to create our controller, and we'll also create view models, model view, because I want to show the data as well as performance metrics. So I'll do that. So I'll create a view model over here. I'll right click on the project and add a folder, view models, and inside this view model I'm going to create a class. I'll name this as products or product view model. Why I'm creating this view model is because I want to have a class model that will hold the entire product list, as well as have some performance metrics like how much time it took, whether the data is fetched from the database. All these things I need to pass it to the view so that it is displays the header as well as the data list that I showed into my demo. So here I'll define public list product, and this will be my products. This will be one declaration. I have to just include using data model, yes. After that I'll say public string data source. This will be get set, and this will be string dot empty by default. So basically this will be either database or Redis cache. Then we'll have public long elapsed milliseconds. Okay, this is the recording time, and public is from cache. So this defines it. I think so. Now let's go ahead and what does this come up? Okay, let's go ahead and define our controller. So right click on the controller, add controller, and I'm going to just remove this, keep this controller, and just add a controller called products. Okay, now inside the controller let me add the required libraries or references. So using Redis demo.models, using Redis demo.data services, not data because we are using services, and using Redis demo.view model, and using system.diagnostics. Okay. Then we'll declare private read only product service as product service, and private read only logger. This will be products controller underscore logger. We'll set a constructor, so this will be C2R tab controller, and inject this over here. So product services service and iLogger product controller logger instantiate over here product services and logger. Now the first method is index. Here in your index we display all the products. Okay, so here what I'm going to do is display all products. Okay, fetch from database and cache in Redis. First call fetch from database and cache in Redis, and subsequent calls fetches from Redis. Much faster. Cool, so let's do that. So in your index, what I'm going to do is that first I'm going to right click on index and create view. This is my index we created. We will add the code over here later. First we'll write a server side code, which is var stopwatch that start a new time, where we are going to pass products and is from cache. These are two variables declared, and this will now await dot product service dot get all products async. So it will fetch the data and push it in this variable. And now I'm going to say stopwatch dot stop. Okay, cool. So now I'll use my view model where view model equals to new product view model, and here I'm going to pass the products and then elapsed milliseconds, that is stopwatch dot milliseconds is from cache, and data source is from cache question mark Redis cache or database, and call it. And finally we return the view model. Okay, so great. So this is the first code. Let me also just write the code for details and then add those razor page code in our views so that we can see things in action. Okay, so this is index. Let's also write the details. So for details, I'm going to say get product by ID. Okay, and this will be published async task action result details int ID. Cool. So here what I'm going to do is that we're going to use a similar code, but we call the ID in this case. So this will be get product by ID, and we are going to pass the ID. Okay, and further we are going to check if product equals to null. We're going to say return not found. Otherwise we will use a view bag which will display it in our details page. So we are going to use a view bag dot elapsed milliseconds stopwatch dot milliseconds view bag dot is catch view bag dot data source. Oh, if it is from cache, otherwise database, and we are going to say return view product. This should be product, not products, and this should be also product because we are getting single record and we are going to return this product over there. Finally, we also have a code to clear the cache. So we are going to write the code to clear the cache. So this will be in a post, http post method, and this will be public async task action result clear cache. This will be await underscore product service dot clear cache, and let me add a temp data variable over here, message which says cache cleared successfully, next request will fetch from database. And this will be return redirect to action of index. That's it. So we have done with our code. So now we'll just right click on details as well and create the view. Okay, so we have the product index and the details view. Let me go ahead and first add the code. But before I do that, I will also set up the project for the CSS. So I'll just include those files over here and make some changes in the view layout, also shared and default layout. Here also I'll make some changes. I'll use some bootstrap which will be available in the project for you. So I just copied my bootstrap code over here. Just right click and paste it and replace the existing CSS. You can create your own CSS class. My idea is to show you the Redis implementation along with some real world product information. So I've done that. So here the layout also I'm going to make some changes over here. It's more or less the same, but just few changes with the layout. I'll use my layout. See, there's no much changes except for the bootstrap libraries. Okay, so this is done. I've copied my default layout and I also copied the CSS. The next thing we're going to do is that add code for our product index over here. So this is a code that I've added for the view part. I'll just explain you this very absolutely simple one. Here first I'm referring the product view model, and this is the main container. Within that container so the first one is the title, then second one is about the card, that is performance metrics that I had shown to you. What this contains is total number of records and whether the record has been fetched from the database, what was the time it took, and the total product. So these are the CSS HTML code that I've written. Then this is the buttons. Basically we have created buttons to clear the cache and refresh, so that, and then there is a temp message that I show. Once you clear the cache, it displays a message that the cache is cleared and data will be fetched from database. And finally this is a product iteration, where based on the model it is looping and fetching with the product information over here. It also has a button called view details, so which we have created. So this is the index first page. Let me go ahead and also add details for the second view, that is the details view. So guys, this is a simple form. Once you click on the view product details, here I am referring the product model, and here I'm just product details. I'm displaying the product details over here. Okay, and also showing the performance metrics, like whether this data is fetched from the Redis cache or database, and how much time it took to fetch from the overall it took for the performance to fetch the data. And then finally we have a back button. So this is the HTML code that I just pasted it over here. You can create your own CSS. This is just that I've added, so I'm just adding that over here. But our main focus should be the Azure setup of Redis cache, and then the class Redis Cache, that is common class, and obviously the product. Similarly, you can create for customers or employees or transaction. Okay, we can create the class and pass that class to our Redis common class that I had created over here. That is what the main takeaway from this tutorial, and how to implement that. So guys, our project is successful. Now let me just run this project, and we should be able to see. So we have the products. So what we'll do is that we will directly call the product page. So we'll see the home page, but we are interested in the products. I'm going to say products/index. Okay, so now there is a miss. I have not registered this in the program class. I should do that. Both my iInterface classes, that is iProduct and Redis Cache, I need to register that in the programs, which I missed to do, which I'll do it right now. So we are saying builder.services.add scope, and this will be iRedis, and this is Redis Cache service. Similarly, builder product service and product services. Okay, so now we should also add this into our default layer, so that I don't have to type it. So here in my home screen, I'm going to simply copy and paste this and add a reference. This will be my products controller and my index. Yes, now I'm going to run the project. So I will just add the breakpoints. I think so I've added the breakpoint. Let me just go ahead and check once. So I'll go to my product service over here and add breakpoint. It's getting products. Okay, great. And get products. Okay, let me also add breakpoint to the Redis cache implementation, because here is a main code for getting and setting and removing the cache. So our project is up and running. Let me click on this is a product. Okay, so now our list is getting called. So first thing, it will start the voucher. Now I'm going inside it. So here you can see it is not fetching the data. I'm sure the connection is healthy, so it is trying to get the data. It did not find it. There is no value. So now it is saying catch miss. Okay, so now this is a catch miss, and so step 2 is restarting the stopwatch, getting data from database. I had added 7 records, and you can see some records added. Now it is stopping the watch because it fetched from database. Now it is setting this value to the Redis cache. So let's go inside. Now it is setting the cache. Connection is valid. Now it is serializing this object. It is serialized this object and it is setting it based on cache. It is logged and we are successfully moved out. We should be able to see the data. Here you can see it took time because I was debugging and now it is cached. So now if I clear this cache, cache cleared. Now you can see it took data source by default showing Redis, but that's not the case. There's some issue with the flagging that I had set. It is always showing data source as Redis cache. Let me just check that. So let's go to our product. Let's run this project again. So we will not keep it for 30 minutes. Let's keep for 2-3 minutes or 5 minutes. So let's go to the view first and see products view. And there is something called data source which says model is from cache. Okay, so let me just see what is the variable getting passed over there. Click on this one. Okay, the first from cache. Let's see whether it's getting from cache. Okay, so now it is getting from cache. Okay, so let's clear this now and see. Let's clear this cache. Product all. Okay. Okay, so now it is setting it to database again. Data cache. Get all product, getting the data stop. Okay, so now it is not getting from the cache. It is cache miss. Now once it is cache miss, it is going to our database, fetching the data from database and then storing it into our object data cached. Okay, so now is from cache through. Okay, because we are getting this through. So let me just delete the breakpoints. 1 minute. I'll just delete all my breakpoints. Delete all breakpoints and run this application. So when I click on product, refresh, it's all getting from the cache, but when I clear it, okay, so now it's supposed to clear this and also show this as not cached, which is not doing it. This is fetching from the cache because you can see the millisecond. When I clear it, it is actually fetching from the, and I refresh it. It's from the database. Let's figure it out. Where is the mistake? So guys, I figured it out. The problem was when I'm fetching the records, all the records. So first I check the cache. If it's this cache, then I return it. Otherwise I fetch it from the database. So obviously I need to pass false over here, where I was passing as true. That is why it was displayed as. So now when I run this project again, it should say it is fetching from database and cache is not from the cache. So when I click over here, you can see. Okay, let me clear this out first. First go to the layout and just change this name to products and run this. I'll just clear it because I had set it for 30 minutes. So that is why it is fetching from the cache. So click on products and I'm going to clear this. Now see, now data switch is database and cache is not cached, and also can see since I cleared the cache, that is why. So now the seconds, you can see almost 2000 milliseconds to fetch from the database these records. Okay, so now I'm going to refresh it, and this time it will going to fetch from the cache and see the performance. So I've already shown you this record, like debug this many times, so you are aware of this, how this works now. So now I'm going to use debug over here for getting it product, single product ID. Let me just check whether I have set here false. Yes, I've set here false. So now if I refresh it, look at the time over here, 46 milliseconds, and look, cache status is cached so fast. See, look at the advantage that you are going to get when you use caching in your application for data like this. Obviously, if you add a new record, you can clear the cache like I am clearing it over here. See, and then if you refresh it, see the magic. Okay, this was master list. Now let's go and see the product. So now, for example, user selects the first product. Now what happens? The moment he selects the product, it calls this ID. Now here it checks whether, now here you can see it's passing product :1. So this is a key for caching this record. So now the timer starts and it is fetching the checking. Obviously there is no data, so it is fetching it from the database. Same concept. Okay, it fetched, and now it will set it into this key. So this is a key, cache key, product key 1. It is set, and obviously it's from database. So now you can see it is from database, and it took so much of seconds. Obviously I was debugging, that is why it took so much of seconds. But now when I go back and I click on the same product again, you see it will say it is fetching from the cache. It took from the cache this details only for this product, and here you can see it is returned data. Similarly, my other product, so it's a product wise caching, very good concept. So here you can see the product ID is 2. Now it will create a cache key for product ID 2, and similarly it will save it. Now go back and I click it. You see the performance improvement. So this is how you can use your caching and improve the overall performance of the application to 10x. You see the performance, 73 milliseconds. Look at this, 40 minutes, because it's already cached. Now this product is not cached, so it is taking some time and it's come from database. But moment you cached it, the next request is 40 milliseconds. You can see the overall data loading is also taking that much of time. So guys, with this tutorials, I have completed the concept of setting up Redis cache in Azure, and then how to smartly implement that into your ASP.NET application to cache the entire data and specific data both dynamically, and how to clear the cache whenever you need to add some new records. You need to clear the cache because your cache won't be validated. So you can maintain a cache for the entire record as well as data specific record. So wherever you have any high intensive scalability and you need an application that is as low latency requirement, you can definitely use caching apart from other optimization. So with this, I complete my tutorials. Thank you so much for your time, and I request everybody to please comment, like my videos, share my channel link with your family, friends and colleagues, and help me to grow my channel. Thank you so much for your time.